Now we're going to get to Module 2 and really start diving into things. And I'm going to turn it over to Catherine Bradley, your State Environmental Development Engineer, and for her remarks. So take it away, Catherine.
Okay, thanks, Beth. And as you see, I'm a State Environmental Development Engineer, not a tech engineer. I couldn't figure out how to make my camera work, so I apologize for that. But I've spent most of my career doing PD&E studies. I've been out of the game for about 3 or 4 years and came back in this role. And I was very excited to see that we have a safety analysis guidebook that is new. And I'm excited to see how we're going to quantitatively measure safety in PD&E studies. So I'm as excited to sit through this class as I am to introduce the class. With that, we can go to the next slide and we'll get on to the module 2. Okay, this is a short module to present the importance of this material from FDOT's perspective. We have invested in this guidebook and now the training to demonstrate how the guidebook can be used to support a safety analysis in the PD&E process. The objectives of this module are to raise awareness of the guidebook as a resource, describe the goals of the guidebook, and begin the process of understanding how to integrate safety into alternative analysis. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, I'm sorry. The purpose of the guidebook is to provide guidance, tools, and examples of integrating quantitative safety analysis into PD&E studies. We also set out to present a consistent approach for conducting safety analysis to help practitioners and reviewers develop skills and better integrate safety analysis into project alternatives analysis. As you'll see, the guidebook does not teach the methods, but it tries to provide guidance for scoping analysis, collecting data, doing the analysis, and documenting the findings. It provides guidance on how to conduct quantitative safety analysis. Next slide, please. So more specifically, the goal of the guidebook is to present an approach for defining the scope of quantitative safety analysis in PD&E studies, facilitating a consistent application, analysis, and documentation of the quantitative safety analysis. And for purpose and need, the book outlines a method for identifying crash contributing factors and countermeasures. And finally, for quantifying safety performance and alternative analysis, the guidebook provides consistent methods for estimating safety performance using either crash modification factors or using the Highway Safety Manual. And next slide, please. So the objective of the PD&E process is to review a project and make location and concept decisions to achieve the project goals. So with this guidebook, we're demonstrating methods for bringing quantitative safety analysis into the design decisions as well. So if you look at this slide, on the left are typical PD&E traffic operations decisions, and on the right are comparable safety analysis decisions. So for example, the first one for the traffic operations is change in traffic operations due to different alternatives. For the PD&E safety decision, it would be change in crash frequency or severity due to different alternatives. And the next one down, if an alternative is modified to achieve a specific traffic flow goal, what are the impacts to the other factors? And other factors being right-of-way, wetland, noise, what the typical things we're looking at in a PD&E study. But if you're looking at a safety side, it's if an alternative is modified to reduce crash frequency, what are the impacts to the other factors? And then finally, what are the opportunities to reduce queuing in the study area? And for a safety decision, it's what are the opportunities to reduce crash frequency or severity in the study area? So ultimately, we're working to bring quantitative safety to the table so crash frequency and severity can be considerations in the alternatives analysis of project decision making, similar to any other environmental impact analysis. So next slide, please. So what are some of the safety questions we should be considering in our project alternative analysis? Some examples are, Are there any existing safety deficiency we know we need to address? Is anything performing differently than what is expected for a typical or comparable facility? If so, this would inform the purpose and need. This next step, concepts influence alternatives, development, and evaluation. So whether there are known safety deficiencies or not, as we work on project development concepts, we should consider if there is anything we should do to improve the safety in the project area. As we consider optional alternatives, what are the safety implications of any one alternative? So is one concept substantively better or worse than other concepts? And finally, it's important to consider the trade-offs between the safety treatment and other project decisions. And next slide, please. So at a very broad level, these are the 5 major steps in safety analysis for PD&E study. First, safety analysis scope. We need to define what we're analyzing from a safety perspective. This could include the study area, the year of analysis, the crash data sources, and the analysis method. Next, we go into the data collection. So what data will be used and from what sources, and always be sure to specify years of analysis when you're collecting the data. So what is the existing safety performance? This is looking at how the system is operating today. Are there any safety issues? Does anything need particular focus? Again, this will inform the purpose and need. So for future safety performance, this is going to be forecasting future safety condition and considering impacts of the alternatives. This allows you to compare forecast crash conditions under each of the different project alternatives. For the most part, this will be done using CMFs or the predictive method. And finally, for all you guys out there that are PD&E practitioners, we know document, document, document. If we didn't document, it didn't happen. So make sure everything that's done is documented and shows up in the PD&E report. And next slide, please. So the guidebook divides safety analysis into existing conditions and future performance. To analyze existing conditions, current crash frequency and severity data is evaluated against statewide averages and other performance measures. And this is to understand if the site has potential for safety improvement and whether or not safety should be in the purpose and need. And you notice I say purpose and need a lot. That'll come up later in this training as well. The guidebook in this training also provides an overview of crash modification factors and the predictive method, which are used to estimate crash frequency and severity of future project alternatives. So again, the guidebook and this training will not teach the ins and outs of how to use the analysis methods, but it'll provide a framework for consistently applying these methods in the PD&E process. Now I'm going to hand it over to Beth for a few more questions.
Thank you. Excellent. So have you quantitatively evaluated safety performance as part of a PD&E study? And again, we're trying to get a read on what y'all know. So this would be, you used a crash modification factor, or you used the predictive method, maybe you did some crash rates. So it's looking like a split. Okay. Oh, a few more votes coming in. Now our next question asks, if you did, what is it that you evaluated? But I'm sort of wondering, if you didn't, we should have asked, you feel like you should have. Maybe that's the question for tomorrow.
It's open response. Folks can just put in what they would have,
Well, that's true. Yeah. So this next question, if you answered yes, describe what you did. If you answered no, maybe what you didn't do or why you didn't, if you feel like it. So we'll just see what kind of answers we get here.
And there's the Menti code again. If you've joined us late, if you go to menti.com and put in the code there at the top, then you can log in and respond. So I think we've picked up a few more people.
Median impact, interesting. Not done on PD&E, predictive without EB. Mode-specific crash history. The new employee, fair enough. ICE, pedestrian safety and weaving. This person has sort of both ends of the spectrum there to think about. Reviewer role only. Changes in ramp configuration at intersections, urbanized, interchanged. Used ICE for scoping, but not PD&E. Hard shoulder running, that's a hard one. Animal vehicle collisions, that's interesting.
See benefit cost.
Engineers to PMs. The PMs answered no and relied on the traffic engineering support staff. I would too. Ped bike, DDI, roundabouts. DDI, there's been a lot of recent research about that. Material analysis and updated. You use HSM spreadsheets. Typical section impacts. Direct left turn, medium U-turn. Hard shoulder running. I was just talking with a colleague about that this morning. It's a hard one to predict still. Okay. All right, well, we got an idea on the gamut of the issues. Back to you, Catherine.
Okay, and this slide gives you a lot of links to different policies and procedures. The guidebook is consistent with the DOT's implementation policy, as well as our PD&E manual traffic analysis chapter. That's part 2, chapter 2. The guidebook is intended to explain how to apply the predictive method on PD&E projects, and it is consistent with other DOT guidance. But as usual, make sure you understand all the guidance. Make sure you read through everything on this issue. Don't rely just on one source. And finally, data-driven analysis should be used to the extent practicable, but this guidebook does not supersede other DOT policies and procedures. And next slide. And this slide shows the key resource practitioners should be aware of to help implement the guidebook. One of the great resources for just general is the last one there. It's the Office of Environmental Management website. And it has a wealth of publications about NEPA and PD&E technical issues, not just this guidebook, but the safety analysis guidebook will be found here as well. And with that, I'll give it back to Beth and we'll all learn about safety and PD&E.
All right. Well, thanks so much. That's a great overview.